Hello everybody, I'm Den Haring and welcome back to my channel, Fish Den 365.
That's what I'm talking about.
So today we're going to do a little bit of everything here. We've got some reel maintenance to show you how we maintain our reels, so we'll get into that in a little bit. We've got some stuff going on here on the computer. The MLF format championship round is on here for the Bass Pro series, so that's going on. We've got that on the computer at the moment. And so the first thing I want to show you here is a new lure that I just bought. So I was at Cabela's yesterday with my dad and my brother and saw this out there. This is a live target bait fish here that I kind of liked, so I bought it. Take a look at that. We'll get a little bit of a closer view to the camera. You can see it's got a Colorado blade spinner off the back. It's a soft plastic bait. It's meant for fishing in weeds and lily pads, kind of like you'd fish a hollow-bodied frog. This is a hollow-body shad-looking lure, and I thought it was an interesting design having this on the back. So looking forward to fishing this. I really like this color too. It looks like a gizzard shad or alewife. Should do well in the lakes that I fish when you get a lot of that slop fishing, which is one of the ways I like to fish. So looking forward to it. They do have a larger size, and I wish I would have picked it up, but I didn't. So the next time I'm out, I'll check this thing out, make sure it works the way I want it to, and if it works well, then I'll get the bigger size too. That way I can have a bigger lure with a larger profile, makes a little more commotion for when those pads get really thick, and it just helps attract those fish. But looking forward to trying this one out. Okay, so today we want to talk about reel maintenance, how to maintain reels. We're in a time of the year now where just the other day we were at -4 degrees just a few nights ago, and then the next night it was -1. We got a sunny day today, but everything's iced over and solid, so it's going to be a while until we warm up. We're in early February now, so this is a perfect time to start maintaining rods and reels. I already did a video about rod maintenance, so take a look at that. I'll put that as an attachment here so that you can see that video when you're done with this one. But so that's about how to maintain rods. But today we want to talk about how to maintain fishing reels. So most of the reels that I use today, I put braided line on them. And I've learned over the years that this braided line can last a good long time. So what I typically do is I'll put the braided line on the reel, and then I'll fish that for a year. And I fish pretty hard, so I'm out there enough times where the braided line will start to fade on the top. So what I'll do then is the second year, I'll take that braided line and I'll reverse it so that the line that was on the bottom of the spool is now on the top of the spool, and it's fresh line. So that gives me 2 years of use. And you could probably get away with more than that if you don't go fishing quite often. But what I found is after 2 years, the braid starts getting a little weaker, it starts to fade, it starts to fray a little bit, and I don't want to take the risk of losing a fish. So after 2 years, I'll take the braided line off the reel entirely and put fresh braid on. So, and the way I know where I am with my reel and my rod is I use a little bit of black tape here. So when I have black tape on the rod here, this is just a piece of electrical tape. This tells me that this is on its second year already. So this line is going to come off of here, and I'm going to be putting fresh line on this one. So here's another rod and reel. You can see I don't have any tape on here at all. So what that tells me is this is fresher line. So what I'll be doing when I maintain this reel, I'll be taking the line off, putting it on another reel, reversing it, and then putting it back on so that the line that's at the bottom of the spool is now at the top. So I'll have the fresh line at the top of the spool, and I'll get another good year of usage out of that braided line. Saves me some money where I'm not constantly changing braided line when there's no reason to. So a little bit of a tip there for you. You can just use some kind of identifier like tape or some way to mark it so that you know for yourself where you're at with that fishing line on the reel. Okay, so one of the first things that I'll do is I'll take the line off the reel. Now, this is one where we know that we want to take the line completely off the reel because I'm not going to be using this line again. So let's cut this thing off. I got a leader on here and I've got a bait on here. This is a little jig that I was using. All right, so we'll cut that off. And I'm just going to pull everything off here. And so what we'll do is we'll make this real easy to take off. And the way we do that is we get a cordless drill. Usually has this type of tightening mechanism on it. and I get a roll. This is just an empty toilet paper roll. I stick it over here, and usually it'll fit perfectly on there, and I can just wind this on there. So what I'll do is I'll get it started a little bit here. So what we'll do is we'll just wind this on here a little bit, a couple times, and we'll start it up. No faster way to get your line off the reel than doing this. This is just real simple. Okay, I just got down to the backing. I use a monofilament line to put some backing on my reel, so I don't have to waste too much braid putting it on, too much braid on the reel, because I'll never get down to this backing. This reel can hold a lot more line than I'll ever be able to cast, the distance of my cast. And unless I'm fishing for some kind of 60-pound giant fish, I'm never going to have a fish get that far down into the spool. So we'll cut the line there. And you can see I have my monofilament line as my backing, and that's where we came to a stop. So now the next step will be to start actually doing the reel maintenance. So we'll show you what we do there next. So then once you have this off, you can just pull off the roll here, and you're ready to use it next time. I usually have this, a big pile of line. It can hold a heck of a lot of line, so no reason to throw it away yet, because we can reuse it to do all the other reels that I'll be doing this winter. So it gives you a little bit of an idea for just a quick little tip for how to get line off a reel real fast. If you haven't ever done that before, it makes it a lot easier than pulling it off by hand. Okay, so I removed the reel from the rod now, but before I go into the reel maintenance, I just want to give an update on the subscriber giveaway. Don't forget, we're in the middle of that right now. Today is the 3rd, it's Sunday, and so we're going to finish this video, but sometime midweek, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday time frame, I will be announcing the winner of the subscriber giveaway number 2. This is for celebrating the 500 subscribers. We're now at nearly 535, I think we're at, actually, so we're getting close to 540. We continue to grow the channel. Looking forward to continuing to do that. And I can't wait to do the giveaway. So we'll show that on a video. We'll show the actual process for how we'll randomly select the winner. It's based on the 2 rules are that you have to subscribe to the channel and you have to comment on the subscriber giveaway number 2 video that I've done. And those are the 2 criteria. Once you've done that, you're in the running for the giveaway, and we'll be giving away a number of lures. One of them you can't get anymore, which is a Cotton Cordell Blue Striper. We've got a really good Nichols spinnerbait in with that, and also one of the best striper lures ever made, Cordell Redfin. So, and we'll throw some soft plastics in there as well. So if you're interested, take a look at that video. Make sure you're subscribed, comment on it, and you'll be in the running for the subscriber giveaway. Okay, let's get back to what we were talking about with the fishing reel here. So I guess I should really explain what I'm going to be doing here next. My training is in electronics. I went to school for electronics technology. So if you give me an electronics board and a schematic, I could tell you what's on that board, and I could repair it for you if it was broken. That being said, I am by no means a mechanical engineer. I am not good when it comes to mechanical items, so like a fishing reel, for example. So if I can do the maintenance that I'm going to show you, it means that anybody can. And so that's what I want to show you, a methodology for doing maintenance on these fishing reels. I do 2 types of maintenance. I do a basic maintenance, and then about once every 5 years, I'll do a real deeper dive maintenance. Today, I'm just going to show you the basic maintenance. We do break the reel down, but we don't break it down to its base parts. But we'll break it down someday, and we'll show you what we'll do. The handle could be coming off. We'll be getting inside both the side plates. We'll be taking the spool out. So we'll show you all those things and how we clean the reel up, what we do for lubrication. This is a Pfluger President. I've had this probably close to 10 years now. I take good care of my stuff, and so I can use it for a long time. This reel performs flawlessly still today. It's got some, you can see it's got some use on it. It's got some scuff marks and stuff, but internally this reel is very solid, and it's one of my favorite reels, and I really enjoy using it. So I will continue to maintain it. I have other reels, Shimano Curados, that are 15 years, probably 20 years or more older now, that I'm still using. And I maintain them, and they perform well for me. So if you do the same will be true for you. If you buy good quality reels and you maintain them, they'll last you a very long time. All right, so the first thing here is we're going to take the side plate off, and so there's a mechanism here where you just press this in and turn it. That loosens it, and then you can take the side plate off. So very simple there. Now this type of reel, the Pfluger President, is the type that I like in that it has centrifugal brakes, and they're right on the spool. So we're just going to pull this spool out of the reel. And one thing that you can do so that your line doesn't get all over the place is just get another little piece of electrical tape and just tape the line down to the reel. That way everything will stay good and tight to the reel. I'm not going to take the time to do that now. I'm just going to put this out of the way. So I will just check and make sure that the brakes are the way that I want them. I like to have just 2 brakes engaged and all of the other ones disengaged. They're disengaged when these pieces are closest to the center of the spool, and they're engaged when they are away from the spool. And that's the way this works, is that they are magnets, and these magnets actually put pressure on the outside of the spool, and it creates a centrifugal brake. Now you're going to want to have some paper towels or a washcloth with you. You just wipe this off for now. We'll be lubricating this in a little while. Okay, so once we have the spool out of the reel, we just want to do a general cleaning before we break it down any further. We want to clean what's existing in front of us here. And the way I do that is I'll take a washcloth like this and I'll just run warm water over it. We would go to the sink. I'm not going to show this on video because I think you can understand what I'm going to say and be able to do this. But we would go to a sink, get some warm water. I don't use any detergent or soap, just warm water. And I just wipe the reel down. I try and get all of the dirt off of it. Everything inside here, everything on the outside. I just try and clean it up as best I can. And there's a tool that I use to help me with that. And it's right here. So this is a very nice tool that I've learned helps clean the reels. And what this is a specialized toothpick. You can see it's got a brush, almost like a pipe cleaner, the way this is. And what this is meant to do is go in between the gaps of your teeth to clean your teeth. So instead, you can use this along with dental tape or dental floss to clean your teeth, to keep the gaps in between your teeth good and clean, which is something I would recommend that you should do because that bacteria gets in there and it's just not good for you. But it also makes a great tool for cleaning these hard to get surfaces in your reel, because what happens with these fishing reels, especially if you're fishing the kind of stuff that I'm fishing, a lot of slop and that kind of stuff, well, these weeds and some of this grime and dirt get into these little corners, and you just can't get that out just with a paper towel. You need something to get down in there, and this thing, you can wet it, you can put it in here and get all the junk out of the corners, and then wipe this thing down and get it good and clean. The other thing you can use is a toothpick. That works pretty well too, because you can just kind of pick it out. But this brush tends to collect the dirt a little bit nicer still, and pull it out a little bit easier. So it just makes the job a little faster. Then you can get these at any store. Any grocery store has these. CVS, those types of stores have them too. Where you find toothbrushes, you'd find these things. And boy, I found they've really helped me clean my reels up. So we wipe that down, wash it all down, and once we have that, we're ready for the next step. So I use a little box like this that has several compartments on it because I'm going to basically reverse engineer this reel. So you might remember we took the side cap out first. I put that in here. We took the spool out next. I put that here. Now I'm going to show you how I break the rest of this reel down and what I do. And I'm going to use this box to just put them in the order that I've taken them off. Then I just reverse that order to put everything back together again. It's kind of like reverse engineering, and it makes it very easy. If you don't have a tackle storage container like this, if you have an empty egg carton, you can just use that egg carton and just place these items in each piece. You just have to remember where you started, and then you just go in reverse order as you're taking the thing down. It works quite well. Okay, so when you buy your fishing reel, it usually comes with a tool or two, so that you can break it down. And use usually a wrench on one end and a screwdriver on the other. I like to use some other tools sometimes too. This is just a little Phillips screwdriver that fits most of these reels real well. Okay, so the next task will be to take this handle off. Now, most reels have a little cover like this one and a little screw, and you take that screw out, you pull the cover off, and there'll be a nut there, and your wrench, this wrench could then be utilized to get the nut off, and then you could take the handle off and the drag and everything else. But the Fluger is a little bit different in that there is no nut here. So the way you get the handle off on the Fluger reel is you have to make sure your drag is all the way down. In other words, all the way tightened. And then you're going to press that down. Did you hear that click? And now I can just back the reel handle off. So I'm just going to take it off by unwinding it. And it's as simple as that. It comes off. It's got teeth. There's a tooth mechanism here that allows you to put this, allows you to take this on and lock it in place. Kind of a neat design in that you don't have to worry about that nut and the cover. It's a cleaner look, and I kind of like it. So again here though, we want to make sure that we put everything in the order that we're taking it off, because this is going to come off now. There's a little star washer here. That's this tooth mechanism. I'm going to look and make sure there's nothing else in here. There's another piece. This actually comes out, I'm sure. So we're just going to lay this here for now. There's a spring here. We're going to take this spring off. I'm going to put it over here. Then it gets down to a nut and some washers here that we can take off. And the other thing we can take off is the tension control knob. So we'll take that out too. So this is where, when I'm just doing the general maintenance, I won't go much further than this. Usually I'll take this piece off. So let me get a wrench and we'll do that. So here's our wrench I can use to take this off. And again, it's important to make sure that you have the order of this correct. Otherwise, when you go to put everything back together again, you're going to run into some problems. So here's a couple of washers. We're just going to pull those off, put them here. And then this is generally where I will stop when I'm just doing general maintenance. I won't break it down any further than this. But I'll start cleaning everything up as best I can. And then I'll start using some lubrication and some oil, and we'll show you that. So the next step is just to get all the old grease off of these components, which is what I'm using this paper towel to do right now. That's good. And then I took components off that were dirty, so I'm going to clean those up in my towel. This got a little dirt on it, so we'll clean this up some. This just helps everything run a little bit more smoother, everything to work a little better. You can see I'm getting some dirt off on the paper towel here. This is some old oil and grease and that kind of thing, so we'll just clean it up as best we can. You can see I got some good dirt coming out of there, some more. And then the handle itself, we want to make sure that has that's good and clean. Shine it up as best we can. Looks like Jordan Lee is winning right now. I'm going to use that toothpick to get in here a little bit better. Got it. Okay, so that's good and clean. So I'm going to take a moment and actually clean this reel, because in order to save time, I didn't do it. So I'm going to go and wash this reel down, what I have here. Then I'm going to show you how to lubricate using some grease and some reel oil to make this thing perform flawlessly for the following season. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. We have everything dried off. That's the next thing, is after you make sure you clean it real good, you want to make sure everything's dry and ready for lubrication. And that's about where we are right now. So I've got here some Abu Garcia reel lube. This is grease. And then I have some Abu Garcia high-speed oil. So this is oil that's specialized for fishing reel use. And so I'll show you what I oil and what I grease. Now the grease should be used on gears, anything that is a gear, with perhaps one exception, and I'll explain that in a minute. But I did not take this apart to the gear level, which is inside here. So in one of the upcoming videos that I have, I'll show you how to take that apart. This reel is just not ready for that maintenance yet. It's no need for it. Don't need to do that. Maybe every 4 or 5 years is what I find works best for that. So you just do this general maintenance, and then so eventually though I'll have a reel where I'll show this to you because it'll be ready, it'll be due for that kind of cleaning. And you can see how I take the gears out, clean them off, and get everything running real smoothly inside here. So just generally, grease is for the gears and oil is for all the pivot points and moving parts from that point forward. So there is a part here that I'll put a little bit of grease on. It's this, I don't even know what it's called, but this turns and there's a little snap ring on it. And just a little dab of grease. And in all cases here, less is more. You don't want to overdo anything on this, but I'll just put a little bit of grease there, just the tiniest bit, just to keep that lubricated, to keep the water out of it, and keep that part working good. So, and I'm going to actually drop some oil in here, but it'll actually be after I have this back together again and before I put this back on. Okay, so I've cleaned some things up here. There's some gears inside here. I'm going to leave them alone. They look fine. There's no need to make any changes, but I will put this back on. I've cleaned it up real good, and I'm just going to put my spool tension control knob on. And I'm going to tighten it down fairly good so that when I put my spool back in, it's not too loose. I can loosen that up and adjust it when I'm ready to start making some casts. Okay, so the next step is going to be put these back here on again. These are a couple of washers. So put those on. Then my nut, which I've cleaned up. So put that on. There we go. And we want to tighten that back down the way it was. Alright, next step is the spring. And then we want to line this up appropriately. We want to snap it down, and then the handle. So the handle gets lined in here. First we have to get it lined up just right, or actually wind it back on. This is where a third hand can come in handy. Whoops. Alright, I'll make sure I get that right. There we go. So we'll get that back on there. There we have it. So now that's back in. It's not going to move, and you want to make sure that it's good and tight, that the infinite anti-reverse is working, and you can see I cannot move that. So it's now back in the way it should be, and I can tighten the drag the way I need it to be tightened. So we've got that mechanism all cleaned up and ready to go. And if you've noticed, again, less is more. I haven't really oiled anything yet, but I will soon. One of the things that's going to come next is I always want to make sure that the worm gear here, that I get that good and clean, because what happens over time is it just collects oil. So I cleaned this already, but I want to make sure that it's very clean, that there's no contamination in there, no dirt, no dust. You can see I don't really have anything coming off of that. That's one of the things that I'm going to oil. Now some people will actually put grease in there. I found that for my applications, grease is not a good idea. It's better to put a drop or two of oil in there and exercise the gear. And as long as you're maintaining it once a year that way, it'll perform better than if you're greasing it. That's my experience. Some other people may argue with that, but for me it works best this way. So I'm going to put some oil in here. I'm going to turn it, put a little more in, and we got some good lubrication there. So we'll just turn that some, and it feels good. Okay, so then the next step is we're going to put just a tiny drop of oil right inside here. This will get connected to the spool. So I'm just going to put a little, just one drop. Done. And then I'm going to put a drop of oil inside here. One drop. Done. Good. And we can put our spool back in. Now, I didn't take the time to tape this, so it's a mess. So I think what I'll do is I'll fix that real quick and tape it, because I think I have some tape right here. So let's do that. Okay, so I have my tape here. It's just electrical tape, but any tape will do. It's just temporary. And let's see here. I don't want it to get underneath itself. That would be no good. So we'll tighten it, wrap it, tape it, and now we can deal with it a little easier. So now we're ready to put the spool back into the reel. Spool's back in. I have my centrifugal brakes set the way I want them. 2 on, 4 off. And we're ready to put this back on. So now this just goes on the way it came off. So I'm just going to press this in and turn it, and it locks in place. Got my spool a little tight, so we'll loosen that up. And you can see we're good to go. So we'll exercise that a little bit. Now there's a few more things that I will put some oil on. One of them is the handles here. I don't like my handles to squeak, so I'll put a little oil in there. And sometimes, in order to get into a tight spot, I will use a toothpick. So I can put the oil on the toothpick, get that the way I want it, and then the toothpick can fit into that tight little opening and get the oil in there for me. Or I can just do it this way, put the toothpick there, press the oil, it runs down the toothpick and goes right into that handle for me. So I got those going, and then I like to wipe that off. I'll exercise the handles a little bit, but I don't like any excess oil to be in there, so I'll just put the paper towel in there and turn it like that. That just stops any messes from taking place. And so now this reel is lubricated, and I just need to set the drag and the spool tension control knob for when I go fishing, but it's ready to use. It's ready to go. So I've got this thing cleaned up. It's all cleaned up inside, and even though it's old and it's got some scuff marks on it, it's actually, you know, the finish is actually coming off here. The internals are still real good. Everything's lubricated. This reel will work real good, and it's tight. You won't feel any looseness in the reel, and that's what you want. You want the reel to be good and tight. Everything fits properly, and yet it'll spin real well and work for you. So this is how to keep your reels good for a long period of time. Hope you found that helpful. If you did, please hit that like button. Again, remember our subscriber giveaway in just a few days. We'll be running that, so we'll be able to see who wins the lures that we're going to be giving away. Looking forward to doing that. Down the road, we'll have a deeper dive where we break into these reels a little bit further, show you the gears and how we clean those up and what we use to utilize to get those gears and everything good and clean and fully lubricated so that your reel is good to go for the next season. This one I feel good about. We're ready to use that for next year. I got the rod already ready to go. And so that's one down out of about 30 or so. I got a bunch of rods to do this with and go through. So looking forward to getting that done for the upcoming season. Remember, we're certified Bassified. If you like this channel, please subscribe. Hit that like button. When you subscribe, hit that little bell. That'll give you a notification for when the next or new video is released and ready to watch. And I look forward to doing the next video. It'll be the subscriber giveaway. Hopefully we'll see you on the water. May God bless your fishing endeavors.